Hi everyone, it's Anna, and in this video we're going to talk about every book I read in the month of March, which overall was a pretty good month. There were a couple of books that I didn't love and a couple of books that I absolutely adored. So let's just get straight into my March reads. And the first book I read in March was Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami, and I picked this one because I had a flight that day. I didn't want to pick a book with a very complicated world, a huge number of characters, so I picked this one. I didn't really know what to expect from this book, to be honest. It wasn't the easiest read in my life by any means, but it really fit my mood on the trip. It was also like a perfect flight read. Anyway, I got to that a slightly not confusing, but difficult part when I was back home, so I had a lot of time to kind of just, dive into it and slowly read through those hard chapters. Anyways, we follow a man who works with data. So he encrypts data, he shuffles data, and he does all those things through his brain. So he does it by using his brain, literally. And so one day he gets this interesting job offer. He kind of accepts it. He goes to their office. A girl meets him and she leads him to the office. She shows him everything. Then she leads him to her grandfather, who is basically the owner of the laboratory, the owner of the office and everything. When they descend into the laboratory, because the laboratory is somewhere below, he starts noticing some strange things that dwell in the underground Tokyo. Not only the creatures, he starts noticing a lot of strange things that started happening after his visit to the laboratory. This book shows its best sides when you read it not knowing anything really, and I didn't know anything about the book. I didn't know what to expect from it, and I just had the best experience ever. This is my favorite Haruki Murakami book so far, for many reasons actually. Usually when you read a Haruki Murakami book, at least, I'm talking about the books that I have read. I still haven't read many Haruki Murakami books, but I have read some. And so if I take those books as an example, I want to say that most of them, it's not like they don't make sense, they do make sense kind of, but nothing is really truly explained. And usually when you read a Haruki Murakami book, it's like you are thrown into this world. You just follow our main character, you do all these things with him, you see what happens around him and with him, and there are just a lot of signs and symbols. And even if they have meanings, if all these strange things happening to the main character have meanings and purposes, you have to guess them. And you might be right, you might be wrong, but it's all about the reader's interpretation, normally. But in this one, the thing that I absolutely loved about it is that everything was so coherent, and everything in the end made perfect sense to me, which I loved. Everything was, don't get me wrong, like, I like when some things are left unanswered, and I think sometimes it's good when the reader is left with no answers, and when we just, try to understand things by ourselves. And sometimes Haruki Murakami gives you some answers and leaves some things unknown, unexplored, unanswered. Sometimes he gives you no answers at all. Sometimes, like in this book, he gives you everything. I just felt so satisfied when reading this book all the way through. I truly think it a masterpiece, and I don't know what else Haruki Murakami has written, but this one is my favorite so far. One more thing that I want to tell you about this book, another thing that I actually really loved about this, is that it blends a fantastical whimsical, dreamlike world with the sci-fi reality. I'll say it one more time. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense in the end. It's not just like, okay, here are some strange things happening, we don't really know what they mean, but let them just happen because why not? Let's confuse the readers even more. Stuff like that. Sometimes that happens in a Haruki Murakami book, but not in this one. And so those two settings represent the subconscious and conscious parts of our main character's mind, which is so cool. The sci-fi reality represents the conscious part of our character's mind. Basically, it's the life that he lives. And that fantastical world called the end of the world represents the subconscious of our character's mind. And I think I already told you enough, because it's truly mesmerizing, it's truly wonderful and amazing when you find it out yourself, and all these things, how they click in the end, and even the whimsical, those like fantasy elements, they were explained so well. Even if they weren't explained, I think the meanings and purposes of them aren't too hard to guess. Maybe the complicated part that I was talking about at the beginning of the video is basically the sci-fi part of the book. It is quite brain-consuming, I want to say, and I don't know, maybe if you read a lot of sci-fi, then it wouldn't be too hard for you to grasp, but for me, yeah, like I said, I was already back home when I was reading that, when I got to that sci-fi part, so I had lots of time. I wasn't in a rush or anything. I was just, taking my time and reading it slowly, rereading it if I needed to. In the end, I understood everything and everything made sense, but it took time. It was very detailed and I kind of liked it, like I said, but on the other hand, it took me a lot of time to truly understand the process of everything and why certain things happened the way they did. Actually, the sci-fi part is about our brain and our main character's brain, our main character's mind. I'll say it again, so far it's my favorite Haruki Murakami book. We'll see how it goes from here, because I've been reading such good ones lately and I'm excited to continue working through his backlog, uncover some more good ones, hopefully. So there was Hardboiled Wonderland and The End of the World. So my first March read was absolutely perfect, and the next one was not worse at all. It was Skipshock. I think I haven't seen anyone talking about this book, and I don't know why, because this was so good. This is the first book in this duology. I don't know if the duology has its own name, but the first book's called Skipshock. Honestly, it exceeded my expectations, I think. Not that I had any particular expectations for this book, because the premise is quite vague. It gives you the vibes more, I think, than the plot. But honestly, I'd been putting it off for so long, and I don't know why. I was drawn in from the first chapter. So we follow a high school girl that decides to switch to a new school, start anew, and she needs to go to another place for that, because the school is located a little bit further from her home. And so she embarks on this train because she needs a train to get to the school, to get to the place where the school is located. She notices that everything around her has changed suddenly, and the train looks completely different. Her belongings are suddenly gone. On the train, she meets a guy who seems to know more. She gets involved in all this chaos happening in the world she has just accidentally gotten into. I kind of like that the girl is from our world, and then she gets into this new unfamiliar world, and there are some really disturbing things happening. There's a lot of politics in this book as well, which I didn't expect, by the way. The writing was absolutely beautiful. I loved every second of this book. It's also very fast-paced. I mean, you do have enough time to process things because there were those, quiet, calm moments. There are some serious topics in this book, and which I didn't expect because, from looking at the cover, I didn't think you expect anything like that. But I'm looking forward to reading the next book. I don't think it's out yet, but I am really waiting for it because I didn't expect it to be that good. Definitely one of my favorite books over the last few months. Yeah, I would describe this book as a YA fantasy. I don't want to say political fantasy because it is political, but I don't think it should be classified as such. There are politics, there are cute moments, there is a romance subplot as well, and everything was done so well in this book. So yeah, I loved it and I'm waiting for the next book. The next book I read wasn't as good as the previous two, unfortunately, and I actually DNF'd it, so I don't think I can form a full opinion on this book because I didn't read it till the end. I DNF'd it at the halfway point, and that is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. If I'm gonna be completely honest, if not for all those reviews I heard about this one, I don't think I would have ever bought this book, but I did eventually because I just kept hearing such good things about this and no review had been negative, so I thought, why not give it a try? And yeah, I did give it a try, and at first I kind of liked it because the story is told from the very beginning, from the birth, from the day our main character was born. I don't know, the beginning of this book felt pretty much like a movie, but as we were diving deeper and deeper into the story, I realized that I actually didn't really like anything about the world. There are a few realms in this book, and basically it's about humans and gods. And our main character is a goddess. 2 god realms and 1 human realm, the realm that we live in. One of the god realms is above and the other one is below. The way gods coexist with humans in this book, I didn't really get it. I think maybe it gets fixed by the end of the book, because maybe that is one of the main issues our main character deals with. But yeah, since I didn't finish this book, I don't really know. But in the first half of the book that I read, it felt kind of strange to me. Also, the writing, it was so flowery to the point where I was just, can we stop describing, I don't know, it in such a far-fetched manner? It's not like I hated the writing or anything like that. I actually liked it at times, but sometimes it was just too flowery. And the last book I read in the month of March was We Hunt the Flame, which is the first book in a duology. I had such high expectations for this one because I'd read another duology by the same author. I don't know the name of the duology, but the first book's called A Tempest of Tea and the second one is A Steeping of Blood. And those books are one of my favorites, of all time, especially the second one. Yeah, especially the second one. Not the first one, but the second one, yes. I loved it so much that I just wanted to read more from this author. I bought the entire duology, and to be honest, if I didn't own the second book, I don't think I would have finished this one. I would have probably DNF'd it. I've also heard that the second book is way better than the first one to so many people. So here we follow a girl that is a huntress, but she pretends to be a man because in her world, a woman's accomplishments, a woman's achievements aren't taken seriously. They aren't perceived the same way a man's achievements are. And so that's why she pretends to be a man. She doesn't want her people to know that She's actually a woman, and so she hunts in this deadly, dangerous forest and basically feeds her people with the food, with the animals she catches in the forest. And that's how the people in her city have been surviving. And one day, a suspicious, mysterious woman called the witch, for some reason, meets her in the forest and lets her know that she knows she's a woman, and she wants to send her on a quest to find a book that holds the lost magic that disappeared many years ago. And our main character eventually decides that she wants the magic to be back. On the quest, she meets other characters, other people that also need that book. They also need that magic, that book. And so basically they all have the same goal, but maybe different intentions. I liked the beginning of the book, I liked the world, but I just honestly wasn't feeling invested. I felt like a lot of things that happened to our characters on the way to that book, on that quest, they felt, I don't know, a little dragged out maybe. I can't say that I didn't like the characters themselves, because I think I did, but at the same time, nothing really caught my attention. Like, I wasn't really worried about them. I knew they would handle it. Sometimes even if you know that the character will handle the situation, you still want to see how they will do it. But in this book, I just didn't want to see how they do it. I felt like I wanted the author to just get to the point. And yeah, all those slow conversations between our characters, they felt a little boring. This whole quest, it was very dragged out, and this book could have been much shorter in my opinion. But as I said, a lot of people think that the second book is way better, so we'll see how it goes with the next book. But this one I didn't like. Yeah, that was We Hunt the Flame. And that brings us to the end of this video. Let me know what you've been reading lately, and I will see you in the next video.